Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation TV. I'm your host, Jeff Charles. A federal judge recently ruled that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program, also known as DACA, is unconstitutional. This program protects individuals who were brought illegally into the United States when they were minor children and shields them from deportation. Today, I have Liberty Nation's managing editor, Mark Angelides, to discuss the potential fate of the program. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So let's get into this. You recently wrote a piece on the judge's ruling. Can you give us the rundown on this?
Sure. So there's a U.S. District Judge, Judge Hannon. He ruled that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program was basically illegal, as in it violated the Administrative Procedures Act. And this is what happens, of course, when you legislate with just a pen and a phone. So he issued a permanent injunction vacating the memo that created DACA in the first place. So what that means in practice, because the judge does favor the program, or at least the opportunities the program affords. It's that DACA recipients, they can still work and they can still renew their position under DACA. But until Congress gets it all fixed up properly, no new applications can go ahead.
Okay, right. Okay. So there have been several polls over the past few years that revealed that DACA as a program is pretty popular among Republicans or Democrats, regardless of what one thinks of the constitutionality of how it was implemented. It's still clear that nobody wants to deport these individuals. So in light of this, why do you think it has taken Congress so long to even addressing this?
So I think this comes down to two major factors. The first being that it's a great political football. It's like a ping pong match going back and forth, with each party claiming that the other party is against Dreamers and that they're the party of Dreamers. But none of them are willing to really do the legislative legwork necessary in reaching across the aisle. It's almost better for the DC folks, politically at least, to have this hanging over everybody's heads each time an election comes around. And I think the second reason is that it so rarely gets pitched by lawmakers as a narrow individual piece of legislation. For example, and I guess this is mostly on the Democrats' side, I'd say almost entirely. They say they want to protect the Dreamers, but then they try to pile on all sorts of other immigration provisions and reforms that are basically just their pet projects, their wish list, like amnesty, increased numbers, things like this. And so although both sides want to resolve DACA, with all this political pork being added, it's just not going to get the support that it needs to pass.
That makes sense. I mean, and I remember that there are several times when Republicans and former President Donald Trump put forth a deal to come to a conclusion on DACA that included more border security measures, and the Democrats balked. So they wanted the DACA, but they don't want the border security. So it seems that with this ruling from this federal judge, that Congress might finally be under pressure to start taking this seriously. What do you think?
Well, hopefully I'm not going to sound too jaded here, but I reckon that first it's going to be challenged in the courts. That's almost a given. Now, when that happens, it's likely to go to the Fifth Circuit Court, I believe, which is a fairly conservative outfit. And then if those bringing the challenge, they aren't satisfied with the result there, it will be refiled and refined ad infinitum, as it were, until it could reach the Supreme Court. But here's the issue. There's no political win by letting the courts decide, only in Congress acting for or against. So I do think that Congress will work on this, but not until it's politically beneficial, perhaps in the run-up to the 2022 elections, for example. And at that point, I expect to see yet again any number of extra provisions added onto it. So one side can say the other, you refuse to protect Dreamers, as they go in asking for the votes.
Yes, I mean, I can understand why somebody might feel jaded about this. And that leads me into my next question. Do you think that the Democrats will ever agree to anything that would enshrine DACA into law?
Yeah, I think so. Almost certainly in the future, if not in the near future. So on the surface, it certainly seems so. But as I say, it's useful to try and keep it up in the air or as a political cudgel to just deal with it. My guess is that if any politician on any side of the aisle came up with a single issue bill, no extra pork, no multi-million-dollar boondoggles attached, no, as you pointed out earlier, no extra funding for border patrols, things like this, it would pass easily. But that's just common sense, really, and that seems to be the one thing that our political leaders always seem to lack.
Sure, definitely. Well, one thing is for sure, the debate over DACA is far from over. So we'll be keeping an eye on it here at libertynation.com. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
My pleasure.
Well, that's it for this edition of Liberty Nation TV. Remember to hit Liberty Nation News for original articles, the Uprising and Rabbit Hole podcasts, and our signature television program, The Conservative Five. Just go to libertynation.com on your browser or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thanks for watching. This program is a production of libertynation.com, conservative news where truth matters.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.